Bryce Canyon National Park is known for its hoodoos, natural arches, and alien landscape, and the Queen's Garden, Navajo, and Peekaboo trails are the most popular way to see them. We did all of these trails together as a 6.5-mile figure-8 loop, but in this video, we're going to break down each separately if you're short on time or looking for a shorter hike, so stay tuned. This is Magellan.
And this is Greyhound.
Where we make videos about epic road trips, kayaking, hiking, and other outdoor adventures.
This is part of our America's Grandest Canyons road trip series, where we traveled cross-country to explore the Grand Canyon, Bryce Canyon, Glen Canyon, Palo Duro Canyon, and more. Stay tuned for more videos in our evolving trip playlist.
Starting at Sunrise Point and heading along the Rim Trail, we headed to our first trail, the Queen's Garden. This trail gives stunning views of Bryce's main amphitheater and consists of a beautiful landscape of the park's famous rock spires, called hoodoos.
What's really nice about this hike is you see everything immediately. There's no one end destination and you're done. Around every corner is something incredible. Along the way, you'll get to see the ET Hoodoo. What do you think? Does it look like ET? Let us know in the comments. Nearby is also Gulliver's Castle. You'll then hike down through the hoodoos. You'll get to go through some cool tunnels as well.
Eventually, you'll reach a short spur trail, which will lead you to Queen Victoria. At this point, you've done almost a mile, about 320 feet in elevation, and if you head back to Sunrise Point, this is an awesome short hike for beginners with great views, and the easiest in the park. But let's keep going, because the Navajo Loop is next. Continuing on almost another mile on the Queen's Garden Trail, you'll reach a junction. Here you can either start the Peekaboo Loop as part of the Greater Figure 8 Loop, or head up around the Navajo Loop. You'll begin your ascent by passing along and through the western side of the hoodoos through evergreens, like Douglas firs. Eventually, you begin winding through narrow limestone walls and reach the famous Wall Street, a cool narrow canyon that you can take a nice leisurely stroll through.
That is, if you define leisurely stroll as sucking wind all the way up.
Because this loop is only 1.4 miles long with a 525-foot elevation gain, one side is always going to be horrible for some people. Just take your time and you'll be fine. One woman even asked us if there was an elevator. She was kidding. Maybe? Wall Street can sometimes be closed in the winter for rockfalls, so if you don't want to miss it, make sure to check the National Park website for closures.
Here's a look at Wall Street from the opposite direction. The section after Wall Street at least has a ton of switchbacks, so you can take your time. Don't forget to look behind you. The view is pretty epic.
Once you get to the top, there's a junction to Sunset Point, which is worth the side trip for the restrooms and great views of the amphitheater. Heading back down along the Navajo Loop, you will soon see Thor's hammer, probably the most famous hoodoo in the park, which sort of looks like, you guessed it, Thor's hammer. Afterwards, you will descend another set of switchbacks down into the canyon. Near the bottom, you'll see a sign for 2 bridges. Around the corner, you will see the 2 naturally formed arches. Continuing on, you will make your way along the east side of the walls, and soon reach the junction with the Queen's Garden Trail from earlier. You can also do this by itself as a 1.4 mile loop hike, starting and ending at Sunset Point. And you can also combine this hike with the Queen's Garden Trail, skip the 2 bridges portion, and return along the Rim Trail to Sunrise Point. From the same junction as earlier, you will cross through an opening of evergreens before reaching the next trail, the Peekaboo Loop. Eventually, you will come to the trail sign where you will begin this incredible 3-mile or so section. If you are doing this as a figure-8 combination hike like us, adding the Peekaboo Loop will make the hike 6.4 miles in total. If you want to do the Peekaboo Loop by itself, you will need to access it from Bryce Point, and it will be 5.5 miles. It was definitely our favorite part of the park, and we saw so few people compared to the other 2 trails. What makes this trail a lot harder than the other 2 is not only its length, but the fact that you will have roughly 1,500 feet of elevation gain and are constantly ascending and descending. But the constant up and down is what makes this hike really special, because you are up close among the hoodoos and constantly getting a different view and angle of the park.
This is the junction where you can head to Bryce Point, and it's a nice place to walk around and explore.
About halfway around the loop, you will find a place to eat, throw out your trash, and go to the restroom. You will also be harassed by these golden-mantled squirrels, who not only know this is a place where people stop to eat, because you know people clearly feed them, even when they're not supposed to, But they also have no issue with trying to steal your food, even as far as trying to get into your backpack.
Continuing on, you'll see a ridge above you with several large holes. This is the wall of windows. You'll see it much closer soon as you loop around. Here's a much closer look at the wall of windows. After this, the landscape will open up and you'll get expansive views. Here's another view of the windows. Yep, more cool tunnels. Who doesn't like tunnels?
Eventually, you will return back to the split trail junction with the Queen's Garden and Navajo Loop trails. We decided to take the Two Bridges portion of Navajo Loop back to Sunset Point, since we wanted to see what the open views would look like with the sun in a different position. Then we took the rim trail from Sunset to Sunrise Point, where we began our hike. Along the way, we met some of our hiker friends, who returned back to Sunrise Point via the Queen's Garden Trail from the Split Trail Junction. What we loved most about these trails is there were so many ways to combine them to fit our time and ability. We hope you liked this video. Stay tuned for our next one in the series, where we explore Fairyland, a whole other part of the park. We'll see you on the trails or in the water.